Welcome, dear learners, to the Module 7 of the MOOC course International Economics. The Module 7 is related to trade, growth, and immersionization. So, this lecture and this video will focus on the effects of growth on trade. In today's video session, we will explore how economic growth influences international trade and its associated dimensions such as production, consumption, welfare, and terms of trade. This is an essential topic for understanding the dynamics of globalization and the economic strategies of nations. Especially, we will focus on the impacts of growth on production and consumption and the combined effects of these changes and their implications for small countries. By the end of this module, you will gain a comprehensive understanding of these interactions and their practical implications also. So let's begin by outlining what we aim to achieve from this module. So our learning objectives are to analyze the production effects of growth on trade, to examine the consumption effects of growth on trade. Then we'll discuss about the combined production and consumption effects of growth. And lastly, we will evaluate the broader implications of growth on trade, welfare, and terms of trade for a small country. So the theory of international trade is concerned with given conditions of supply relating to factor, endowments, and technology. But these factors do not remain constant over the long run. When they change, they bring about the growth of an economy. Economic growth may take the form of either factor accumulation or technical progress or both. Economic growth has production and consumption effects on international trade. So first, let us begin with the production effects of growth. So economic growth expands a nation's production possibilities frontier this abbreviation of this is PPF. So this occurs due to advancement in technology and increase in resource availability or improvements in productivity. As the production possibilities frontier PPF shifts outwards, a country can produce more goods. So as the process of economic growth facilitates the increased supplies of factors inputs, there can be change in the domestic output of exportable commodities. The increased production of exportable goods brings about an expansion in the volume of trade. The large production of importable goods, on the other hand, cause a contraction in the volume of trade. Although the effect of factor growth upon production was analyzed by Rybczynski in a quite simple manner, a more elaborate analysis on this issue was made by H.G. Jensen. So he identified growth as neutral, export biased, ultra export biased, import biased, and ultra import biased. So growth is said to be neutral when the output of both exportable and importable goods increases in the same proportion, consequent upon accumulation of factors and growth. So growth is said to be export bias or pro-trade if the increase in the output of exportable goods is more than proportionate to an increase in the output of importable. The growth is supposed to be ultra export biased or ultra trade biased if the increased production of exportable goods involves some reduction in the output of importable goods. So in case the growth reduces the production of exportable goods, it is said to be ultra import bias or ultra anti-trade bias. When growth results in a more than proportionate increase in the output of importable goods than the exportable goods, it can be regarded as import bias or anti-trade bias. There are some assumptions. The varying implication of growth for the international trade can be analyzed on the basis of the following assumptions that you can see on the screen. First, the trade exists between two countries, for example, A and B. The A country is the home country that experiences steady growth. There are two productive factors, that is labor and capital. The quantities of the two factors of production increase over the growth process. The trade is concerned with two commodities, that is, we can say X and Y. The X commodity is the exportable and Y is the importable commodity of the home country. The commodity X is labor intensive while Y is capital intensive. There is no change in the techniques of production and there is an incomplete specialization. And the international terms of trade measured by the ratio of price of exportable commodity to the price of importable commodity remains constant. As you can see, dear learners, in your screen, there is a diagram and the diagram depicts the relationship between the production possibilities and trade bias in the context of two goods. That is, one, an exportable commodity X and an importable commodity Y. Let us break it down. In the x-axis, it represents the quantity of the exportable good, X commodity. The labor-intensive commodity X, which is the exportable commodity, is measured along the horizontal scale. In the y-axis, which represents the quantity of the importable good, the capital-intensive commodity Y, which is importable commodity, is measured along the vertical scale. So there are some points and lines that let us discuss about it also. OP, the original production possibility frontier, that is PPF, which shows the maximum combination of X and Y that the country can produce given its resources and technology. Then T133, it represents a new PPF after economic growth. The direction of the shift depends on the type of growth. R is the initial production and consumption point before growth. P1 T1 is the line that indicates growth biased towards producing more X, that is exportable good. T2 3T indicates growth biased towards producing more Y, that is importable good. Now, here are the types of growth and bias, that is the neutral growth, point S. This growth expands the production possibility frontier PPF equally for both X and Y, maintaining the balance between them. Then the expert bias growth, that is point N, where the growth favors the production of exportable good X, and this often occurs due to increased efficiency or resources in the sector producing X. Next is import bias growth, the point M, where the growth favors the production of importable good Y, leading to increased self-reliance and reduced imports of Y. Next is T3, which is the ultra export bias growth, which is the extreme favoring of the exportable good. And the T2, which is the ultra import bias growth, extreme favoring to the importable good. So here are the key concepts. There's export bias growth typically increases the volume of exports, potentially worsening the terms of trade if export price fall. And import bias growth decreases dependence on the imports, potentially improving the terms of trade. So the terms of trade, that is TOT, refer to the ratio of export price to the import price, and the bias effects of TOT depending on how growth influences the relative prices of X and Y in international market. So this diagram is crucial in understanding how different types of growth influence a country's trade pattern, its production choices and terms of trade. So originally, PP1 is the production possibility curve, as you can see in the diagram. Given the factors applied at the technology, TT1 is the terms of trade line. The production takes place at R, where TT1 is the tangent to the production possibility curve. And as growth occurs, the factors applied increase and the production possibility curve shifts to the right. The terms of trade line is T2, T3, which runs parallel to the original term of trade line, that is TT1, and it signifies that international price ratio of X and Y remains unchanged despite growth. If production equilibrium occurs at S, the growth is neutral because there is proportionate increase in output of two commodities and two factors grow in the same proportion. If the production takes place in the range, S and N, the growth is export bias, and this range, the proportionate change in the output of exportable commodity X, which is greater than the proportionate change in the output of importable commodity Y. And it also signifies that the use of labor is proportionately more than that of the capital. So if the production equilibrium is determined in the range of N to T3, the growth is ultra export bias because the increased production of exportable commodity X involves a reduced production of importable commodity Y. In case the production equilibrium is determined in the range S to M, the growth is important bias. Repeat. In case the production equilibrium is determined in the range S to M, the growth is import biased. In this range, the output of importable commodity increases more than proportionally compared with the increase in output of exportable commodity. In this type of growth, the use of capital is proportionately greater than the use of labor. If the production equilibrium gets determined in the range M to T2, the growth is said to be ultra import bias or ultra anti-trade bias, as we have already discussed. So in this situation, the increased production of the importable commodity Y involves a decline in the production of exportable commodity X. The process of production in this range involves an increased use of capital with possibly no increase in labor. The ultra export biased and ultra import biased pattern of growth are the extreme cases in terms of their effects on the self-sufficiency or trade dependence of a growing country and may exist in a very few cases. Repeat. The ultra export biased and ultra import biased patterns of growth are the extreme cases in terms of their effects on the self-sufficiency or trade dependence of growing country and may exist in very few cases. Now, dear learners, let us discuss the consumption effects of growth. So, the economic growth leads to higher income, which influence consumption pattern. As income increase, people tend to demand more goods and services, particularly luxury or higher quality products. For example, as an economy grows, the demand for automobiles, maybe electronics or other luxury items may increase. This shift depends on the income elasticity of demand. So goods with high income elasticity such as luxury goods see a sharp increase in demand. Conversely, demand for the inferior goods like basic staples, may decline. So these changing preferences affect import, patterns and influence trade. And the process of growth in a given country, denoted by the factor growth, can bring about changes in its consumption pattern. So if there is an increased consumption of the importable commodity, the volume of the trade is likely to get enlarged. On the opposite, if the consumption of exportable commodity registers an increase, there is likely to be decline in the volume of trade. As in the case of production, Johnson has classified the consumption effects of factor growth as neutral, extra bias, ultra export bias, then import bias and ultra import bias that we have already discussed. So the process of growth in a country expressed through increased factor supplies can bring about an increase in real income. So this can result in change in the consumption of exportable and importable commodities in varying quantities. So the relative changes in the quantities consumed of these commodities determine the nature of growth process, having varying implications for international trade. The growth process is also said to be neutral if the increase in the demand for exportable commodity X takes place in the same proportion in which the demand of the importable commodity Y increases. So growth is import biased or anti-trade biased if the increase in demand for importable good is less than proportionate compared to the increase in demand or exportable good. The process of growth can be regarded as an ultra import bias or ultra anti-trade bias if the demand for the importable commodity decreases in absolute terms. There is export bias or pro-trade bias growth when the demand for importable commodity increases more than proportionately compared with the increased demand for exportable commodity. When the demand for exportable commodity decreases in absolute terms, the growth process is said to be ultra export bias or ultra pro trade bias. So H.G. Johnson pointed out that the output elasticity of demand for importable goods can measure the nature of growth in relation to trade. The growth process is import bias, neutral or extra biased if the output elasticity of demand for the importable commodity is less than, equal to or greater than unity respectively. So if the output elasticity of demand for importable commodity is negative, the growth process is ultra import bias. On the opposite, if the output elasticity of the demand for exportable commodity is negative, the process of growth is ultra export bias. The consumption effects of growth, given the constancy of the taste, the terms of trades and distribution of income, can be shown with the help of the figure order diagram which is shown in the screen. So here the original position of the production and consumption equilibrium is determined at the point R. So at this point, the term of trade line, that is TT1, is tangent to the production possibility curve PP1. On the other hand, the tangent of the commodity indifference curve I, on the other hand, if growth takes place, the production equilibrium shifts to S. So it is assumed that the terms of trade remains unchanged so that the terms of trade line, that is T2 T3, is parallel to TT1. So in the screen you can see the consumption effects of growth diagram. The consumption equilibrium may get determined by any positions on T2 T3 where it becomes tangent to some higher commodity indifference curve. If the consumption takes place at S and there are proportionate increase in the consumption of two commodities, then the growth is neutral. If consumption takes place in the range S to M, the growth is export bias as demand of the importable commodity Y increases at a proportionally greater rate than the demand of exportable commodity. If the consumption takes place in the range of M to T2, the consumption effect of growth is ultra export bias. And in case if the consumption occurs in the range S to N, there is an import bias consumption effect. When the consumption takes place in the range from N to T3, the consumption effects of growth is ultra import biased. Dear learners, the output or the income elasticity of demand for imports can determine the implications of growth on trade. If the growth results from some factors other than population growth. And in this connection, H.G. Johnson writes, if growth is due to some other cause than population change, income per head will rise, and the type of growth will depend on the average income elasticity of demand for imports. If the imports are luxury goods, growth will be pro-trade bias. If they are necessary goods, growth will be anti-trade bias. If imports are inferior goods, growth will be ultra anti-trade biased, and if exports are inferior goods, then growth will be ultra pro-trade biased. So dear learners, so far in this analysis, it was supposed that the taste patterns and the distribution of income remain the same. So with the expansion in the income, subsequent to the growth, there can be change in the taste pattern and income distribution. So these factors can bring about significant change in the relative demand for two commodities. So dear learners, let us now move on to the combined production and consumption effects of growth. So when we combine production and consumption effects, we see a more comprehensive picture of how growth impacts trade. As production shifts, so do the exports. Simultaneously, rising incomes lead to changes in the import patterns also. So these interactions can either balance or create trade imbalances. So consider a small country experiencing a rapid industrial growth. So its exports may shift towards high-tech goods while rising domestic income increase demand for imported, luxury goods. Such changes influences trade volumes, trade balance, and economic relationships with other countries. In a growing country, the total effect of growth represents the combined results of its effects on production and consumption as well. So if there is a complete specialization in production, the country does not, at all produce the importable commodity, and the total effect of growth is determined entirely by the shift in consumption equilibrium due to the expansion of income. In such a situation, the overall effect of growth can again be neutral, again be export bias, ultra export bias, import bias, and ultra import bias, depending upon the relative change in the demand for import and supply of export. If there is incomplete specialization, then the given country produces both the commodities. The demand for the imports is measured by the excess of total demand for and the domestic supply of the concerned commodity. The total growth effect on the demand for imports is therefore the net effect of production and consumption effects of importable commodities. So this total effect determines the extent or direction of shifts in the of a curve of the growing country. As shift takes place in the offer curve of a given country, it becomes possible to ascertain its impact on the volume and the term of international trade. If both consumption and production effects are neutral, the overall growth depends on the growing country. Say, for example, A is also a neutral, but the domestic supply of importable commodity being a smaller proportion of the total production than the proportion of consumption of imports to the total consumption, the price of importable commodity is likely to be relatively higher than before. So as a result, the terms of trade are likely to become worse despite neutral overall growths. So the overall effect of growth will be export bias if any one of the possibilities exist that you can see in the screen. The first is the production effect is export bias and consumption effect is neutral. When the production effect is neutral and consumption effect is export bias, or if both consumption and production effects are export bias. And the overall or the total effect of growth will be import bias if any one of the possibilities exists that you can see on the screen. That is, the production effect is import bias and consumption effect is neutral. The production effect is neutral and consumption effect is import biased. Or lastly, both production and consumption effects are import biased. So the overall total effect of growth is ultra export bias when the production effect is ultra export biased. In such a situation, the absolute demand for imports increases by more than the entire increase in the national income, and the supply of exports rises more than its rise in case of export biased growth. So in this situation, the volume of trade gets enlarged about the deterioration in the terms of trade of the home country, which is more than that occurs in the case of the export bias growth. So the overall effect of growth is ultra import biased if there is an absolute increase in the domestic output of importable, and there is an ultra import biased in the production. In this situation, there is an absolute decline in the demand for the imports and the supply of exports. If the exportable commodity is not inferior, and there will be an improvement in terms of the trade of the home country in this case, and the overall the total growth effect has been explained with the help of the figure or the diagram that is shown in the screen, where the diagram represents the production possibility frontier, that is PPF, and the trade-offs between the two goods, an exportable commodity X and an importable commodity Y, where the x-axis shows the quantity of the exportable goods, that is manufactured goods. The y-axis shows the quantity of the importable goods, for example, agricultural goods. And there are some curves, that is A5, A4, A3, etc. These curves represents different levels of production possibilities for the economy, with A5 being the smallest and A3 the largest. As the economy grows, it moves to higher curves, meaning the country can produce more of both goods. And there are points that R and R1, R2, etc., which represents the initial production and consumption points before growth or trade assumptions. Then R1, R2, which shows different combinations of X and Y, and the countries might produce or consume as it grows. Then the trade and the growth that are dotted lines indicates the trade-off between producing X and Y due to limited resources. The growth shifting to higher curves allows the country to produce more of one or both goods. For example, moving from A5 to A3 means the country can now afford more X exportable goods, or Y importable goods. So the implications of it is that economic growth allows the country to specialize more efficiently based on comparative advantages, increasing its ability to trade internationally. And the points like Q or B indicates extreme specialization in one good, for example, producing only X or Y. So in a summary, the diagram or the figure shows how economic growth expands a country's ability to produce and the trade goods, and leading to improved living standards and trade opportunities. In the figure itself, you can see that OA is the offer curve of the home country. You can say A, for example, A, and the OB is the offer curve of the foreign country B. So originally, the equilibrium takes place at R, and OQ quantity of X is exported and RQ quantity of Y is imported. So the terms of trades are determined by the slope of the line OR, as you can see in the screen in the figure, and as a result takes place in the country A, its offer curve will undergo shifts, while the offer curve of the country B not experiencing any growth, and it will remain unchanged. So if the overall or the total effect of growth is neutral, the offer curve of a country A shifts to the right to OA1 and the equilibrium takes place at R1. It shows an increase in the volume of trade, but there is worsening of terms of trade for country A. It means the neutral growth bias, results in the transfer of gain from country A increasingly to the foreign country. If the offer curve of country A shifts to the right to OA2, the equilibrium takes place at R2. The increase in export is proportionately more than that of imports. The volume of trade increases and the terms of the trade for country A get worsened. If the growth is ultra export biased, the absolute demand for imports increases by more than the increase in the national income, and the exports increase by more than the rise in imports. As the offer curve shifts to the right of OA2, say OA3, there is an increase in the absolute volume of trade, and the terms of trade get further worsened for the home country A. Again, if the growth is import biased, the offer curve of A shifts to the left of OA1, say OA4, but the right of the original offer curve OA. In this case, the demand for imports and the supply of exports increase less than proportionately to the total output. The volume of trade increases, although there is an anti-trade bias in respect of production or consumption or both, and the term of trade may still get worsened for country A. If the growth is ultra import biased, the offer curve of a country A may shift to the left of OA, say OA5. There is absolute reduction in the demand for imports and supply of exports, resulting in absolute reduction in the volume of trade, but the terms of trade go in favor of the home country. Now let us discuss the effects of growth on production, trade, welfare, and terms of trade of a country. So when we talk about production, growth enhances a country's capacity to produce goods. It allows for diversification and specialization based on comparative advantage, and small countries in particular can benefit by focusing on niche products or services. When we talk about trade, the growth influences trade by altering comparative advantages. For example, a country developing, advanced technology may become an exporter of tech goods while importing raw materials. So this shift trade patterns and dependency. Now let us talk about welfare. So economic growth generally improves welfare by raising the living standards, and people have access to more and better goods and services. However, growth can also lead to income inequalities, especially if certain sectors or regions, benefit more than the others. Then the terms of trade, or we can say the ratio of export prices to import prices, are crucial for any small country. Like the growth can improve terms of trade if the country's exports become more valuable, and conversely, growth in resource-based economies can, sometimes lead to unfavorable terms of trade known as the resource curse. So, to analyze the effects of growth on trade and welfare of a small country, we assume that number one, only one factor, labor, grows. There are two commodities X and Y. The growth of labor increases and the production of labor intensive commodity X, and decreases the production of capital intensive commodity Y. And fourthly, the international terms of trade remains constant for this country. So in the pre-growth situation, as you can see in the figure that is shown in the screen, the production possibility curve is BA, and P is the production point where the terms of trade line TT is tangent to it. C is the consumption point on C1 CI curve, and the CRP is the trade triangle whereby the country exports RP of X and the imports RC of Y commodity. So after the growth of labor, the production possibility curve shifts outward to B1A1. Note that the shift along the horizontal axis AA1 is greater than the BB1 on the vertical axis representing capital, even if there has been an increase on the growth of capital. This is because labor is also used in the production of Y commodity. The new production point is P1 now, and the consumption point is C1, where the constant T1 is the line is tangential, and the point P1 shows a higher output of both X and Y commodities. The volume of trade also increases after labor growth at point P1 because the new trade triangle C1 R1 P1 is bigger than the pre-growth triangle CRP. The country's export increases from RP to R1 P1 and imports from RC to R1 C1. The welfare of the country also increases because of the new consumption point C1 is on the higher curve CI1 than the original point C on the CI curve. However, when there is a labor growth in the country, without capital growth, the per capita availability of capital decreases. As a result, less capital is available per labor, which reduces the per capita productivity of capital. Therefore, the availability of commodities per person in the country is reduced, which is likely to reduce the welfare of the commodity despite increase in the volume of output and trade. As a growing country is small, it trades at a constant international terms of trade even after growth because it is not in a position to influence international trade terms of trade. The straight line OT in the figure in the screen shows the constant terms of trade where the pre-growth rate point is P and the post-growth point is P1 in a country. Even at the constant terms of trade, the country exports and imports more quantities of X and Y commodities after growth, as the P is, the point P is above P on the, OT line. So the growth also changes the composition of production. For example, a country moving from an, agrarian to an industrial economy will produce more manufactured goods, and these shifts impact trade by altering export patterns. So, for instance, a small country transitioning from the agriculture to technology-based industries may export fewer agricultural products and more industrial goods. Such changes redefine the country's position in international markets. So, dear learners, by far we got an idea that economic growth impacts a country's trade and consumption patterns through its influence on production. Neutral growths occur when the output of the both exportable and importable goods increases proportionately. Export bias growth favors the production of exportable goods, expanding trade volume, while ultra export bias growth involves an increase in exportable goods and a decrease in the importable goods, which can worsen the terms of trade despite trade expansion. Conversely, import bias growth increases the production of importable goods more than exportables, then contracting trade, while the ultra import bias growth significantly increases importable goods output and decreases exportable, reducing trade but potentially improving the terms of trade. And growth also affects consumption patterns. Increased consumption of importable expands trade, while higher consumption of exportable reduces it. As H.C. Johnson explained these effects using output elasticity of demand for importables, where growth can import bias, neutral, export bias, or ultra bias based on the elasticity volume. So overall, growth's effect on the trade depends on its bias and the resulting shifts in the production, consumption, and trade dynamics. With this, we have come to the end of the first video session of this module 7. We will get to know more about meaning of immersorizing growth and examine the immersorizing growth in case of developing and developed countries. Moreover, we shall also discuss the necessary conditions for immersorizing growth in the next video session. With this, I would like to wind up this video session. Till then, keep learning. Thank you.